Okay, today I thought we'd take a look at the Digitech Studio Vocalist. This unit came out in 1995. There was a Digitech Studio Vocalist EX for extended, which came out in 98, I think. And it's basically a harmony producer and pitch corrector. You've got a lot of useful functions on the front. For one of the good features of it first is the keyboard that you've got on the front. You can either use it to punch in a particular scale with one finger, or when it's in pitch corrector mode you can actually play back the pitches that you want the melody to follow real time from the front. It's got basically 5 different modes. It's got a chromatic mode, which is basically where it will produce fixed intervals of whatever comes in. A scalic mode, where basically you can set the scale either by pushing the button here to set it, pushing the little fake keyboard to set the scale, and then it will just produce harmony notes only in that scale. It's got a chordal mode, where basically you can play MIDI chords into it and it will follow those chords and only harmonise within those chords. It's got a pitch corrector and it has a vocoder. What's also good about this is on the rear panel you have 4 separate outputs, so you can record the 4 separate outputs simultaneously, basically, back into your system, whatever you're running. What I've done in the rack here is I've run everything to a patch bay here. So I've got 1 input and 1, 2, 3, 4 outputs on the patch bay from it, which I can just patch across to sound card inputs. It has lots of different patch names. That says Studio Toolkit, F major, 2 up, 2 down. Unison, that's self-explanatory. A third above, 1-1-V-3-3. Thirds and fifths. Full harmony, 2 up plus bass. Yeah, so there's some of these patches seem quite self-explanatory, and other ones you leave you scratching your head thinking, what on earth does that mean? So I think I'm going to try and explain some of that. So this was my little experiment. So I have this original melody here, which is quite simple, and then what I did was I chose the 2 down plus bass patch and the 2 up plus bass patch, and I recorded all 4 outputs from both of those patches, and then I used Melodyne to analyse what was actually being produced by the Digitech, because these patch names, 2 down plus bass, they mean nothing to me, and there's nothing in the manual really to explain what on earth they mean. So if we bring up the Melodyne screen here, and I just display the original melody first, you can see it goes B to the octave higher B to the F sharp. So it's quite simple. It's in the key of B major, B being the first, C sharp the second, D sharp the third, E fourth, F sharp the fifth, G sharp the sixth, and A sharp the seventh. So you can see that this simple melody just goes from the root up 1 octave and then back down to the 5th. So if we look at the output 1 from the Digitech on the 2 down plus bass patch, you'll see that all that comes out of output 1 is basically the root note, but an octave lower. And if we put output number 2 on, that produces exactly the same thing as well. It basically just produces a root note. So if we look at output number 3, when we sing in the root note we get the D sharp, which is the 3rd. The B up here we get another 3rd, but lower than the original note, and then when we sing an F sharp we get the root note again, B. And if we put on output 4, I'll take 3 off, that makes it clearer. When we sing the root note, we get the F sharp, which is the 5th, and the 5th here. And when we sing the 5th note here, on output 3, we got the root note, but on output 4, we get the 3rd. So basically, that got me thinking. And I did another experiment. This time, instead of putting just a B major triad in, I put a B major 7th in to see what it would do with that chord input. So on output 3, we got the D sharp, which is the 3rd, the D sharp there, which is the 3rd. We got, and this time you can see we didn't get the root note when we put the F sharp in. We got the A sharp, which is the 7th note from the B major 7th chord that I put in. And then on output 4, what we got was we got the F sharp, which is the 5th, and we got the F sharp there, which is the 5th, and then we got the D sharp there, which is the 3rd. So output 4 stayed the same, going from a B major triad to a B major 7th, but output 3, we got a slightly different note. We got that 7th note out when we sang the F sharp. So what can we conclude from that? Well, it seems to be that when you put a MIDI chord input into the Digitech, it will pick another note from that chord to play back as a harmony. And how exactly it decides to do that, I'm not sure. On these particular patches, on outputs 1 and 2, you always seem to get bass root notes down here, but on outputs 3 and 4, you get other notes from the chord, and on the 2 down, you'll get them lower than the original melody, and on the 2 up, you'll get them higher than the original melody.
I've been singing all my own. 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 I've been sing singing on my own. I've been singing.